Frazier Friday, baby. Let's do it. I missed some time. I'm back. Hey, you know what I really liked this week, Kratz? The former player interviews. Let's get that going a little bit more again. I mean, this is actually a microcosm of how Major League Baseball works with most players while they're playing versus post-playing career. Now, Torrey had plenty of great stories while he was playing, and Jason Worth was a little on the quieter side when I covered him. He's not quiet anymore, so you get to see some extra personality come out once they're not worried about who's watching over them.
Yeah, and the contracts that could be coming up, and I get it. You know, when Worth went to the Nationals, he could have been more outgoing in the media. He was plenty outgoing in the clubhouse, so that's how some guys see it. But I agree. Get him out there.
All day. Hey, why not? We need more of that stuff. We need opportunities. We need guys to talk more about baseball, how it used to be playing, how it's playing now. And I know we give a lot of that, but more is always better.
The thing is, when guys are playing, you got to be a little more careful. And
Yeah.
some guys, I think, are too careful. Where it's like, dude, you don't have – the owner's not sitting there going, let me play back every interview he's ever done.
That's true.
So I actually give credit because what we're about to talk about does include quite a few players and managers on the record talking about something that I think is super important in the game. So we're going to spend some time on it because it's sweeping through baseball news. Let's charge.
Charging the mound.
Major League Baseball essentially shrank the strike zone and didn't tell anyone about it. They told umpires, as they have a new labor agreement with them, they'll claim they're following the same definition. That is true. But the way that they are grading umpires has changed. They have a buffer zone around the edges of the strike zone that has now shrunk significantly. They used to give them 2 inches of a buffer zone, and now it's 3/4 of an inch. So that in turn affects the accuracy of how they're graded, which in turn affects the way that the strike zone is being evaluated by umpires on a pitch-by-pitch basis. It has led to more overall accuracy. That's great. 88.2% overall accuracy is the best we've seen in the StatCast era, which tracks pitches like that. That era started in 2016 when the number was 83.6. These are good things. Main problem here, Kratz, they forgot to tell everyone. So The Athletic did a banger job on this. Ken Rosenthal, Jason Stark, Eno Saris are the 3 that are listed here on the article. We're going to talk to Ken coming up. And many more, actually. They say more on the article as well. So I want to give credit to all of them for putting that out there. They have plenty of people on the record that gave their names, plenty of people that spoke anonymously, players, coaches, teams that all said, nope, they're lying. They didn't tell us, even though they said they did.
I don't have all the managers' numbers like Ken and Eno and all those guys do. But every one of the guys I texted had no idea. I haven't found anybody that knew about the change. I don't see, like, the bigger issue here is Major League Baseball trying to slide this through. Is it better that they're getting the strike zone correct? Yes. But the bigger issue is negotiations are coming up here soon. The new CBA is coming up here soon. And if you're going to be doing mischievous, nefarious little things as Major League Baseball, how are you supposed to go to a negotiating table as a players association and go, I'm sure they're going to be straight across the board here. They're going to be super honest with us. And it's just like, why would we not tell the players who this affects, the pitchers, the hitters who this affects, and just keep it secret? I don't understand this at all.
Yeah, and this is something very important. I mean, I think this going under the rug is something that needs to be talked about a lot more. I mean, we're talking about a strike zone where this last year they're talking about, having an automated strike zone. They're talking about getting rid of umpires. They're talking about, electronics and this and that. I think this is leading into something, could be leading to something even bigger. Like, did they want this auto to come out? I don't know. Maybe they did. This is something that maybe we'll see some more stuff come out. But, you get those 3 inches, as a baseball, you take a baseball, I don't have one in my hand, but as you measure, it's almost 3 inches, from east to west. I mean, that's a lot of space and opportunity to throw strikes with. And now to minimize that strike zone with the baseball to make it 0.75 instead of 2 inches off in the buffer zone. I always complained about that. I always talk, like Phil Cuzzy and, Wendelstedt and those guys. And I was like, man, you guys are getting a lot off the plate. He's like, no, that's the buffer zone. They always kept saying it. So I knew about the buffer zone a while ago with Joe West and all those guys. So I'm like, I don't know how you're getting graded well on that, because to me, that's a ball. And, the human element I still love and I still factor in, and I don't want that ever to leave. But, with talking to players and reading the article here, I'd be a little frustrated. I would, just knowing that, why am I not getting that call? Because I feel like it might be nipping the corner. If not, it's right there. But they locked it in, up, down, east, west. They are finding ways to, help the batter out more.
Some people are going to sit there at home and go, 2 inches, who really cares? That is a monstrous difference. If we overlaid the new strike zone and the old strike zone, and you put all contact around those edges that's now eliminated, the contact, it's something ridiculous. Like every half an inch contact out of the zone, the exit velocity, the hit probability goes down exponentially. Like it means you're chasing out of the zone, and that's why pitchers want to stay on the corners so that they can get the pitches off the barrel of the bat. Are there cases? Absolutely. Can Shohei get on top of a pitch above the buffer zone? Yes. But the hitters that keep the ball in the strike zone and only swing at those are normally the better hitters. And you eliminate that buffer zone, now it's going to be more of an offensive game, but it's also going to be able to transition us into the challenge system next year. And I think they're trying to lock in where that border is, because just a little bit of the ball hits. Okay, so that means if a little bit of the ball hits here, all of the ball was off of the zone. And if you make that now 2 inches, now that pitch is here and it still touches the buffer zone. So I'm glad that they cleaned this up. Just be upfront about it.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees that they want the strike zone to continue to be as accurate as possible. For example, Christian Walker is on the record in this article saying we always wanted to get better. But then you have Travis d'Arnaud, Angels catcher, on the record a couple times in this article talking about how they basically had to do their own homework because they started looking out and being like, wait, the zone seems a little bit different. Let's do some homework on this. And then word starts spreading and starts to turn into a story. Apparently, there was an anonymous player who said he was talking to an ump, and the ump goes, "What do you think of the new strike zone?" And he's like, "What?" That's how word starts to spread.
Come again?
But think about the competitive advantage even for the first month, right? This is a game of inches, a game of games that can separate you from a playoff team and not, right? One game. We see it every year. So there might have been some teams that knew about this a little bit earlier. Not every single player, person, everyone else found out about it at that same exact time.
Yeah.
You have the right as a league to maintain competitive integrity, to tell all teams, players, managers, etc. about what's going on in the offseason when this is being decided. And if you're saying you told everyone and everyone is saying you didn't, very respectable, commendable people, you did not communicate it, or you did not communicate it properly. So some people might have found out about this the first week of the season, and you have some people that just found out about this when the article hit this morning.
Can I just say something? Why didn't they just come out with it when they figured it out? I don't understand. Like, hey, boom, here, hey, just so you know, new rule to MLB, the buffer zone has changed. Why is everything such a secret? I don't.
They claim it wasn't. They claim they told everyone.
Oh, yeah. Come on, man. It should have been worldwide. It should have been news. It should have been news.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's an arrogancy of Major League Baseball in the sense of, we don't need to see. We don't need to tell them. We don't need to tell them everything. Or is it a strategic thing saying, you know what, you guys you're not necessarily upfront with everything. We don't need to be upfront with everything because we are the head. In the sense of like, oh, we're the boss here. Like, you'll be fine. You'll figure it out later.
I think he's confusing Major League Baseball with The Godfather. You're saying the Don sometimes doesn't need to tell everybody about the business going on, but yes, sometimes there are a lot of similarities with the league.
There you go.
A lot of their favorite movies are mafia movies, but I will tell you this: it's not supposed to be like that. Okay,
hey, we're
not going to see Scott after today.
Hey, well, we found a new name for this new thing we call it. Like the Homer Bailey and those names that you can use. This is the Bruce Buffer Zone.
The Bruce Buffer Zone.
The Bruce Buffer Zone.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, like, hey, it's a little Chili Davis in here. It's a little cold.
Yeah, that's a little on. We're teetering on the Bruce Buffer right now.
I like that. Last thing, and then we're going to get to Ken Rosenthal on it. I just wanted to make sure that people know you should check out the article. It's lengthy and it's worth it. It's really well done. But there are quotes in here from big league managers who Dave Roberts asked straight up about this. Quote, "No, I didn't know that." Tito Francona asked if he remembered being told this at the winter meetings, which is what MLB claimed. Quote, "I don't believe so. I don't remember that. That doesn't mean they didn't because I can barely remember yesterday. My understanding was it wasn't a secret, but I don't remember them sharing it." Mike Shildt, who is on the ball. I mean, he is a pretty serious gamer.
Yeah.
Okay? He is not missing something in a meeting. He's going to take notes in a meeting, and then he is going to think about it for days and then strategize it. And that's why this affects pitch sequencing, game calling, the whole deal. And it's why it rattled teams when they didn't find out about it. I'll give you Schilt's quote in the article. "I don't remember having any communication with anybody at any point in time saying, hey, we're going to tighten it up. Not at all. I tried to pay attention during the meetings. I would have thought it would grab my attention. I would probably share that with his coaching staff, which of course would have shared that with players like Toddfather in spring training."
100%.
Mind blown on this one. Yeah, so let's bring in one of the orchestrators of the article and the investigation. Ken Rosenthal is going to join us next on FT for the Inside Scoop to keep digging. Kratz, let's talk about the #1 recommended dermatologist hair growth supplement brand. And it's a brand that you are just starting your journey with.
I'm using. What, about 1.5, 2 months into my journey? It's a 6-month journey. See what I can get. See a little thicker, fuller everywhere, filling it out. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I'm very excited to see the Nutrafol results with Kratz. And don't show us your hat yet, okay? You got to stay tuned through this journey. And if you want to join Kratz for this journey, you can start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering FT listeners $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code FOUL. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com. Promo code FOUL. That's Nutrafol.com. Promo code FOUL. Kenny, ball game coming up in 2 minutes. Some news that broke last night from Cody Stavenhagen, Tiger Territory host, and the Athletics beat reporter on the Tigers. They designated Kenta Maeda for assignment. So it's not going to be claimed with the contract that he's got. 2 years, $24 million. He's finishing that up this season.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I feel like go find yourself a little bit, get going. He's not going to be down there for long, in my opinion. But.
Well, you can't get sent down, right? Kratz, here's our specialist here. You go unclaimed because no one's going to pick up the contract.
And then they'll probably pick him back up.
They cut him, no? And then a team can sign him for league min?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got 9 years. He's close to his 10th year, so he'll be released unless he's like, yeah, I'll go to AAA because I'd rather be in AAA in Toledo than anywhere else. But someone else will probably claim him. Somebody needs innings. Not claim him. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We'll sign him to a minor league deal, and then the Tigers will get him hooked for the 12th.
Yeah, and he was just coming out of the bullpen for Detroit. You know, obviously, he wanted to be more of a starter or at least a swing man, which he had done pretty well in the past in his career. It just really didn't work out with him in Detroit. Fastball getting torched. He's also 37 years old. He's had a really great career.
You forget that. Yeah.
37.
He's been doing it for a while.
Yeah, they're going to be all over this, so check out Tiger Territory, Kieran Steckley, Cody Stavenhagen. and Austin Jackson on many of the episodes as well. Go check that out wherever you get your podcast. Just type it in. Give them some love. It's a really good show. And also follow their YouTube channel. Let's hit the inside scoop with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. Ken, great story. Really, really well put together by you and the team over at The Athletic. So what can you tell us about it? And also, were you as shocked as I was when you first started hearing about this and the lack of communication with the league and everyone else involved in actually playing the sport?
Yes, and I'll give you the genesis of this. During spring training, or maybe it was recently, it was actually more recently than that, players came to Jason Stark and said, hey, something's up with the zone and it's smaller, it's different, we don't get it. Can you look into this? So Jason started looking into it and found that, yes, there is a difference in the buffer zone. The part of the, well, it's not even part of the strike zone. It's around the strike zone. It's been reduced from 2 inches all the way around to 3/4 of an inch all the way around. This was something that was agreed to by MLB and the umpires in the umpires' newest CBA. So, okay, we'll get to that in a second and why they did it and the effects of it. But part of the story is about how, yes, as you mentioned, Scott, it took so many people by surprise. Now, MLB claims that it communicated it properly to pretty much all the parties involved. And that may be true in MLB's eyes, but clearly there was a breakdown in communication at some point here because we talked to club officials that were not aware of this. We talked to managers, as you quoted, that were not aware of this. We have players on the record and managers on the record saying this kind of took them by surprise. Not kind of, took them by surprise. So that to me is one thing here. But the overriding thing, and really the most important thing for the sake of the game, is that this is a good thing. It's a good thing because the rulebook strike zone is going to be called more accurately. When you shrink the size of the buffer zone, and let me explain what that is. The buffer zone is the area that, as I said, is a couple of inches or was around the strike zone. But that was an area in which an umpire, if he had a missed call in that area, it would not count against him in the evaluation. And that was the change in the umpire's CBA. That, yes, the buffer zone would shrink, and that was an area in which they could be judged less harshly if they missed a call there. But they felt this would get closer to the rulebook definition of the strike zone, and everyone agreed with it. So umpires agreed to be evaluated differently, but that has caused a change in the way the game is being played. Now, MLB says it's not a significant change. The players that we talked to said maybe not, but it's certainly something. And I talked to some front office people as well who said, hey, wait a second. Because the zone is being called tighter, we have to change our framing models. We have to look at things completely differently. Maybe we have to get more patient hitters because there are fewer strikes being thrown. Now, again, MLB insists that there are not fewer strikes being thrown and that it's essentially a wash. But it's just an interesting story from the perspective of, one, this change has taken place, and the change was made in order to get the strike zone called more accurately and consistently. Good thing. The issue is that obviously a lot of people who should have known about it didn't know about it, despite MLB's claims that, yes, we told them about it.
You make a lot of really good points. Now, my question to you would be, I know you've talked to some players. Have you talked to catchers specifically about this? Because it's not only pitchers, but also catchers are the ones that are getting away with some kind of frames and all that kind of stuff. Like, is it changing the way they're catching now?
I don't know that we asked that question specifically, but Travis Darno is quoted in the article as saying everyone's zone has shrunk. And that is clearly what has happened here. Now, it's not, again, a change in the definition of the strike zone. It's really important to know that. The actual strike zone by the rule book is exactly the same. The difference is in that buffer zone in which umpires are allowed to essentially miss. That zone has shrunk from 2 inches around, as I said, to 3/4 of an inch around, and that's where the difference is from before. So we did not ask catchers specifically about the framing aspect, but club officials told us, yes, we've changed our framing models in the ways we've evaluated catchers or started to evaluate catchers because we have noticed a difference. One team told me in the last 2 weeks, they've been starting to ask these questions. What's going on? How do we adapt? Clearly, teams were caught by surprise.
Why does Major League Baseball feel like rules, implementations, or stuff like this, like implementing things that actually affect the game, don't need to be not more negotiated, but just, is it a big brother complex by Major League Baseball, or is it avoiding confrontation? And we're just trying to do what's best for the game, and yet they're hurting it.
Erik, I don't know the answer to that. My thinking here is what should have happened is that MLB, much like it did when it rolled out ABS in spring training, should have put this out there in the public, saying, hey, here's what's going on. This is what they did with ABS. It was very clear. It was very well publicized. Here's what it's going to be this spring. We're testing it, etc. They should have done the same with this. Said, listen, here's what's going on. We're shrinking the buffer zone. The goal of shrinking the buffer zone is to make the calls by umpires at home plate on balls and strikes more consistent, more accurate. That's the goal. It's a goal that's being accomplished. You see the accuracy numbers right there. MLB says this is the most accurate balls and strikes have been called in the StatCast era. This is a good thing. This is something that, yes, pitchers would have objected to and will object to because obviously it's harder to throw a strike or a called strike. But at the same time, hitters love it. Obviously, they want the zone called more accurately. And it's something that all fans could understand and embrace if it was just presented that way. And the mere fact that so many people who should have known say they didn't know, that's a problem. And it's a problem MLB might not want to acknowledge, but it's a problem. And you're right, Erik, it undermines what should be a good thing. More consistent and accurate ball strike calls.
Is this a forward thinking by MLB by saying, hey, we're most likely transitioning to the challenge system? And I know this was put out in the winter meeting, so this was even before the challenge system was implemented in spring training. Is this going to make it an easier transition to the challenge system? Or is it, hey, if we shrink this, umpires are getting it right, maybe we don't need the challenge system?
No, I expect we're going to have the challenge system. And I'm not sure this was done at all with ABS in mind. It seems to me that it was done simply to get balls and strikes called more accurately. Now, the zone with ABS is going to be more stringent, I guess you would say, right? At least we'll have a very defined zone, as we do now, but it is defined by written words as opposed to a machine. So I don't think the two are linked, but at the same time, it raises questions for ABS as well. Is there going to be a buffer zone with ABS? How is this going to work? And we'll ask those questions at the appropriate time.
And I mean, the league's been around for a while. They've got plenty of PR. This shouldn't have just been a memo to players, teams, coaches, etc. It should have been announced to everyone. We're fans of the game. Just let us know. This would have been great off-season talk, and it's a positive story. So that part is crazy to me, Ken. I'm wondering if there's any aftermath to this. I know you got a comment here too, but if anybody, you think is going to complain, because there's probably some people that figured this out the first week of the season. Now there's some people that are learning about this on May 2nd.
I don't know what the aftermath is going to be, if any. I can't predict that, Scott. Now, as for what you're saying about putting this out there, because obviously it's had an effect, the league's position is it's not that meaningful an impact. And they were basically saying it's not that big a deal. It's a change, yes, but it's improved the ball strike accuracy, and it's not something that should be sensationalized in their mind, not something that is that big a thing. Okay, but I'm with you, Scott. Why not be more transparent? Why not put it out there? What do you have to be ashamed about here? You're doing something good. You're trying to make the game better. Tell people. I don't really understand the problem.
It is not the CIA. This is not some covert operation. This is just like you talked about on Fair Territory the other day. This is baseball. This is entertainment. And this is a good story. And for fans or anybody, the league that doesn't think that this is something that affects everyone, you should read the story. There's game planning, pitch sequencing, everything, right? People just want to know what the rules are and how umps are being evaluated plays into that, so much so that there's an ump that told a player, oh, did you hear about the strike zone changing? What do you think about that? Even just the way he phrased it, I think, tells the story of how the umps have to think about how they're evaluating the zone. That's why, to me, it's such a big deal. Kratz, what do you got?
Well, I mean, you talk about game plans. I just was thinking about what you said. There is a paper hung up for a left-handed batter and a right-handed batter, how umpire zones change. Not that they would have been able to build that model before the season, and that model is always changing, but it's based on thousands, tens of thousands of pitches, and that's hung up before every game along with the pitcher scouting report too. So if people think, they don't really pay attention to it, there's somebody that has that job for sure. Ken, do you think this improves the chances of, or I shouldn't say improves because that sounds like I want a work stoppage. Does this increase the chances of a work stoppage?
I won't go that far. To me, Erik, the chances of a work stoppage are high regardless of this. What I will say is this, that throughout the game's history since the inception of the union, there has been obviously labor tension. And one of the manifestations of that tension has been a disconnect at times between the league office and players as represented by the union. This, to me, kind of shows that there's still a disconnect. Or at least in this example, there was a disconnect. And it doesn't seem to me, and this is my opinion now, it doesn't seem to me that players were taken into account enough here. And the league can say, yes, we communicated to the clubs, we tried to communicate to the players, we did this, we did it properly. They can say that, but it didn't happen, or at least didn't happen successfully enough. And one of the criticisms the league has faced from players is they don't have a feel for us. They don't get it. And at times that has been a fair criticism. In this particular case, it seems to me that it is a fair criticism as well. They just did not see that if you're going to do something, even if you think it's small, even if you think it's good, and it is, you got to let the players know that the world is changing for them. They're the ones on the field. They're the ones playing your game. They are your product. And they have to be taken into full account and full consideration.
Now let's talk a little bit about some baseball teams here. The Texas Rangers ranked 28th right now in runs scored per game. We didn't really see that one coming, if you want the truth. And they just demoted Jake Berger and brought up Blaine Crim right now. So talk a little bit about, what they're going to do with Jake and how Blaine is going to, help this team out at first base.
Their general manager, Chris Young, earlier this week told the Dallas Morning News that he was edgy about their offense, and rightfully so. Now, we talked about this on Fair Territory yesterday. You don't often hear a GM talk like that, and yet his frustration was clear. He made other comments as well about the offense and indicated that, yes, we have some players at AAA we might look at. Blaine Crim is one of those players. He's hit every level of the minor leagues. He's 27, I believe. He's not really a prospect in that sense, but he's a guy they want to give a chance to. And the way this was portrayed to me is that with Jake Berger, this is simply a reset. He'll be down for a little bit, then come back. Clearly, Jake Berger was one of the Rangers' biggest offseason acquisitions, along with Jock Peterson, who also has struggled. And they're trying to find ways to kickstart this offense. And it's really interesting because, yes, last year they took a step back offensively, and the reasons that they acquired guys like Berger and Peterson was to hopefully get the offense going again. Hasn't happened. They've tried things. They've dropped Marcus Semien in the order. He's starting to hit finally. They basically benched Leody Taveras, the center fielder. So far, it's not working. They just had a tough series against the A's at home, lost 2 of 3. So this is a team to watch, and their general manager, Chris Young, has clearly demonstrated that he's not going to wait around and simply say, hey, back of the baseball cards, guys will come around. No, he's doing things.
Ken, I'm over 3 on my questions with getting you to know what the answers are. So maybe you know what this answer is. When you talk to Chris Young, did he allude to anything with fastballs? Because they brought over Jock Peterson and Jake Berger because they were elite at hitting fastballs. Their numbers on fastballs this year are atrocious. Jock Peterson's hitting 041 on fastballs. Jake Berger had a 921 OPS last year on fastballs. This year, he has a 460 OPS. Does he feel like these players are getting moved? Or maybe did he mention anything about hey, what are we doing as far as like a team, a coaching staff of learning to hit the fastball?
His interview was with Evan Grant of the Dallas Morning News. So that was where his comments were. And yes, definitely fastballs have been an issue for them, and it's been something that they tried to correct with those acquisitions that you just mentioned. Now, in the article that Evan wrote, basically he said once you get through making player moves, once you drop guys in the lineup, demote players to AAA, bring up other players, and that doesn't work, then the only thing left are staffing changes. And Evan pointed out in the article that Bruce Bochy, in 28 years as a manager, has never fired a coach at midseason. Now, the front office would be the one that's doing it most likely, but the point was this doesn't happen under Bochy. So if it did happen this year, that would be an even more dramatic example of how this team is trying to get itself going. And we'll just have to see what happens. They need to start hitting, period. That's what solves all the problems. It's always the case in baseball, right, guys? If you're not winning, if you're not hitting, if you're not pitching well, do better and things will change. The noise will stop. That's the case here as well.
Hey, Ken, let's finish with the series you've got coming up this weekend on Fox. You'll be part of Dodgers Braves, which is a great heavyweight tilt. Okay, so I'll do one on each. So let's start with the Dodgers. 21-10, best record in a very competitive National League West, but not by much. And I know we're only a month into the season, but we've talked about how there are multiple other teams in this division playing well. What do you think about the way that the Dodgers are trying to get through the marathon to load up as best as possible for October, and the potential chance that it could cause some problems at some point if one of these teams gets hot?
It's a really interesting question, Scott. And they obviously are running their team and pointing toward October. Everything they do points toward October. And yet there's a regular season to play. And while it's more likely than not they're going to make the playoffs, even in this kind of half state that they're in, this weird state that they're in, they're 21-10, as you mentioned, they're leading the division. They're the best team. But at some point, they're going to want to turn it up a little bit too. And it's understandable for a team coming off a World Series to have injuries. It's understandable when that team doesn't really necessarily fire on all cylinders right away. There's something of a hangover effect that takes place with teams. But it's going to be really interesting to see when Dave Roberts and the front office kind of puts the pedal to the metal a little bit and says, hey, we got to go here. They have succeeded and done very well not really doing that. But at some point, that focus, that intensity is going to need to come back. And I'm not saying they're not trying. Of course they're trying. But there's a different level. And you can't expect it to be the same sitting here on May 2nd. You couldn't have expected it in April. I don't know that you can expect it in June. But as we go forward and as we get to the postseason or closer to it, certainly at that point, the Dodgers are going to have to turn it up and will want to turn it up and are quite capable of turning it up.
Oh, no doubt about it. My only thought process is that there could be a disaster scenario where a few things go wrong for your team, another team starts to make a run, and then you're like, wait, all of a sudden we might not take this division, and we always take this division. So I think that part strategically could be interesting. And then the other side here real quick, the Braves, they're 14-16. I keep looking at them with zero panic. I know Strider only gave them one start. He's going to come back. Acuna is going to come back. I got to give this team some credit. They're hovering around the 500 range. So what do you think about the Braves heading into this series?
They're interesting. And they're interesting because some things have happened even beyond the injuries, Scott, that they didn't expect. Nick Allen at shortstop, Alex Verdugo playing in the outfield, Eli White assuming a prominent role here. So they've kind of adjusted on the fly already. And clearly, in the end, they're going to need their stars to be stars. And Riley and Olsen and Murphy, those guys have done better of late. Chris Sale has come on a little bit lately as well. So I'm not worried about them, but it's a different team. And I would expect that even after Acuna and Strider come back, they're going to need to make some adjustments along the way, probably at the deadline. Their bullpen is a huge question right now, especially with Iglesias struggling, and that was something they didn't anticipate. So, as always, every year is different, every season is different. That's true for the Dodgers, and it's true for the Braves, it's true for every team. And we'll just have to see how they evolve. They kind of came back nicely from that 5-13 start. They did. They recovered well. Now they go forward and see what they can be.
Yeah, and this could be a statement series. I know it's early, and we've seen some good Dodgers-Braves matchups in the past few years too. So we'll see. Ken, enjoy the weekend, and we'll be watching you on Fox on Saturday. And thanks for the time. And I encourage everyone to check out the article in The Athletic on the shrinking zone evaluation. We just barely scratched the surface. Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, guys.
Also, fair territory from yesterday, hitting a bunch of other topics with Ken and special guest host Trisha Whitaker, who did a great job. So check that out wherever you get your pods. Plus on the FT YouTube channel, which is close to 110,000 subs. So doing well there. And we will be right back with a very special guest on the show, who is the Dodgers Senior Director of Team Travel. If you want a razor that looks good, makes you look good, gets the shave done, and doesn't cost much,
Oh,
is it nice?
that's a hairy John, and you can smell it too. Smell it, John. Smell it.
Oh wow, what
After
is
See,
that?
that's Harry's. That's the shave gel. I'm telling you. Look, I mean, this.
You look scary, man.
It's the shot.
Fresh.
Now come in. Get the.
I don't
look
want to
how- look how
touch this
soft
head
that is.
anymore. Oh my
Look how
god.
soft it is.
It
That looks
doesn't-
like
it is
German
soft.
engineered blades made
It
in their
is
own
soft.
factory that stay sharp longer.
I'm using the razor, and it does not. You can start to feel when
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets dull. I mean, you guys only do like here and like up here.
true.
I'm doing acreage.
Get the edge on your shave with Harry's. Normally their trial set is $10, but right now you can get it for just $6 at harrys.com/foul. That's our exclusive link, harrys.com/foul for a $6 trial set.
Hey, big woo coming soon. Brandon
Uh-oh.
Woodruff. Remember, this used to be a number one type starter in the game, and he went through it with the shoulder surgery, but he just finished his latest rehab start. Kurt Hogue covering it said for Class A Wisconsin, within one batter of putting up 6 complete innings, 5 2/3, 3 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts for a team that can use some starting pitching depth. This is going to help at some point.
We've talked about the Big Woo a lot. I know that's Kratzy's boy right
Yeah.
there, baby. I love the Big Woo. I think we miss talking about him. We miss seeing him, and to see him get a rehab start, Kratzy is in he's just in his realm right now. He's ready to go.
One more, maybe. He's going to be rated that 30-day limit. Most likely one more. I talked to him. He said he wants to get up over the 80-pitch threshold. He got to 74 yesterday when he threw. So that 80-pitch threshold, and he said he's feeling good.
Love it.
Hey, the Brewers are lurking. They're 16-16. They're only 3 games out. I mean, the Cubs have gotten a lot of attention, rightfully so. Nice start for them against a tough schedule. They're 19-13. They've got a softer spot coming up in May. But the Reds are 2 games back. The Brewers are 3 games back. And the Brewers have been through this battle many times in the past several years and often come out on top. And I do think their starting pitching depth is going to continue to improve here. So, I mean, you're going to have Freddie P., Tobias Myers. I like Quintana.
Yes.
I like Woodruff eventually when he comes back. There's other guys too. I know they picked up Quinn Priester and Chad Patrick's part of that, but there's some names formulating. These. All right, we're talking to the Dodgers Senior Director of Team Travel, Scott Akasaki, joining us right now. Very excited for this conversation as we love to go outside just the player-manager conversation. Scott, awesome to have you on. Thank you so much for the time. How you doing? And if you can, just give us a little intro like we're sitting in a circle with everyone. Like, hi, my name's Scott. This is what I do.
Well, thanks, guys. My name is Scott Akasaki. I'm the Dodgers Senior Director of Team Travel. I've been doing this for about 2 decades now and having a lot of fun still.
Scott, now,
Can
are you wearing a quarter
go ahead,
zip?
Brad.
Because, sorry, are you wearing a quarter zip because you said you were going to wear something sexy on the show? Is that a quarter zip? Because that's
I thought about wearing something like nice, but then I had to represent, the squad over here, right? I can't figure out my camera, but there it is, right there, So
yeah. I see how it is. I mean, that's so it's very GM, director of travel type of attire, but that's okay.
Yes,
you look great.
Yeah, I got to hop on a bus after this, so
Okay, I haven't seen you since 2014, and that's where we're going to start. When you were the director of whatever that trip was that we took to Japan with all the MLB All-Stars and me. But how much has travel and just the effort that you have to put in changed in that 10 years? Now we're going the 11th year. What are some of the most significant things that have changed for dudes getting on the bus and going to a game? Because it's way more than that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think a lot has changed really in the past 5-6 years. The performance aspect of it, the rest, all the science that has come in. It's not just about launch angle and all of that. We measure sleep and we measure, recovery. And so all of that comes into everything, the way we travel, the beds we sleep in. So it's all interconnected.
I want to ask you this. Once the schedule comes out for the new year, my question to you would be, is that when you first start getting after it with hotels, trying to figure out where everything goes? Or do you have kind of an inkling beforehand? Because this is a lot of work. You got to understand what hotels the guys are going to, making sure they're happy, flights, all this kind of stuff. So when do you really start getting after it? Season ends, World Series ends. Are you getting after it right away, or you just got to wait for the schedule to come out?
No, that's too late, Todd. The schedule comes out for us in about May or June. Depends on the year, but generally around that time. So all the travel directors around the country are starting to put pieces in place around that time. And it's an ongoing conversation with the various hotels. One of the things that I was explaining to somebody yesterday was, how come we stay at this hotel over here and not this place over here? Well, it's because the Dodgers have been in a fortunate situation to be in the postseason every year. So the hotel that takes us during the season has to be able to take us in October too.
All right. So Ohtani he brings his own bed cover and his own personal pillows. Have you started, since now this is his second year playing for the Dodgers, have you started to find hotels that have what he needs or what he wants or what certain players want, and then he doesn't have to bring that on his own? Or is he still packing a bed everywhere he goes?
Well, I cannot confirm or deny what we do for Shohei Ohtani. So I'm going to just leave that at that.
Okay, that's fair. Then I'll ask this. Are the players in general, not Shohei Ohtani, are the players in general now more or less needy than they were in 2014 when all we ever really got was an envelope, and hopefully it was the bed that wasn't the pillow top bed where our back would be wretched in the middle of the night?
Kratzy, that's a tough question because I would say that the players, and rightly so, are the center of this game, right? And especially with a team like the Dodgers, with all the superstars that we have, they are the ones that everybody should be taking care of. So, maybe that wasn't thought of when I first started this position as it is now, but it's right. The players come first, and we can't forget that, we have these jobs because of them, and it's not necessarily needy or whatever, but they're the front and center part of our game.
I want to ask this question. I think this is a fun one. I want to say, I would say, what irks you more? What gets you like, when a player calls? Like, I'm going to go two different scenarios here. I wrote them both down. So, what irks you more? Like, an hour before the game, hey man, I need 6 more tickets from a player, or the guy that says, hey, I'm flying home at 3 p.m. the day of. He's like, I got to make different plans. Can you find me another one later on at night?
Todd, I'm going to take the politically correct answer and say that all of it is not bothersome. To be honest, I think I've been in this game long enough to be able to, and I think all of the travel directors, once they have, some time under their belt, is to be able to anticipate the last minute ask, understanding that, things come up all the time, and, the guys are focused on their games, and that's the important part, right? So I don't mind at all. We try to get ahead of it as much as we can, but sometimes, stuff happens, right? In our daily lives, right? We forget, as parents, things for our kids, and we're like, oh dude, I forgot about this, but we have to scramble and we have to deal with it. So that's just a part of life, so we understand.
How much is the time that you leave? I know you talked about the sleep specialist, but like, we just had a situation where a team played a game at 6:29 and the CBA said you weren't allowed to play a game after 6:30. How much of that goes into your planning in the sense of, hey, we don't want our team, because you're on the West Coast, going east, even if it's not all the way to the East Coast, and then waking up 12 hours or getting there 12 hours before the game? How much does that go into the Dodgers' view of winning baseball games and keeping their players healthy?
Yeah, all of that is really important. We sit around and we talk about it. It's debated a lot. And I don't know if there's a right answer, because you do things one way, and, our situation, humble brag coming up, is whatever we've decided has worked in the past as far as making the playoffs are concerned. So I don't know if we have the answer. We certainly discuss it, and it's debated, but at the end of the day, what time you travel, where you stay, how you get there, what amount of sleep you have, good players win good games, and good health wins good games. I mean, good health wins games.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So my first question is, I don't know if somebody asked, are you bilingual? Do you know other languages as well?
Yeah, I grew up speaking. Well, actually, I didn't grow up speaking, but Japanese is my second language. Yes.
Oh, okay, great. So the reason I'm asking that, so you guys go to Japan and you play your games out there. Mookie Betts gets sick, right? So now, luckily, you speak both the language. You speak Japanese as well. So, one time or two, you must not have known the language, but at the same time, what in that kind of situation, you got to be on your toes, ready to go. So what's the next steps for him? Like, there's got to be some sort of movement, right?
Right. So, MLB has a really good team in place. They're prepared for this, right? MLB sets up the games. We're also, because we have Shohei and Yoshinobu and Roki, we have a team of Japanese, bilingual staff, a lot. And so that being the case, not just me, my Japanese is probably, I'm third generation Japanese American, and we have native Japanese speakers on our staff, and so they're able to help in Mookie's situation or anybody's situation with any type of request. So very fortunate in that respect. But yeah, the Japan trip was absolutely awesome.
All right, we need your expertise now, okay? As players, I know the game is over. It's getaway day. I throw all my stuff into the bag, do my interview. My bag goes bang out. The clubbies at the visiting place or the home place push my bags to the truck, and then they get on the plane. Plane lands, blah, blah, blah. We go to the airport. Give us the director of team travel schedule from start of game on getaway day to putting your head on the pillow. And how many people are on the plane with you guys that you have to take care of this entire group?
Well, every team is different. The Dodgers roll big. We're about in the mid 90s as far as our traveling party is concerned. We've actually went to a 2-plane model, which is the first in professional sports. So we have a player plane and we have a staff plane. That's a little bit complicated because you have 2 different sets of luggage, 2 sets of equipment. So you have to be very organized. But the start of the game, we have a very good crew as far as equipment staff is concerned. Everything is highly organized. So we have things going in 2 different directions. We are in communication with the hotel as well, as far as, making sure things are, everybody's treated the same, but, things are a little different for the players and the staff. Depending on what time our distance of travel is what time I go to bed, so it's a lot, but it's what I signed up for, and I still enjoy doing it.
One time we went from Anaheim. I got called up, was at one game in Anaheim. We flew to Tampa for an off day. So I flew across the country to Tampa. They left my suitcase in the hotel or at the whatever, the truck, and never got on the truck. So we got to Tampa with 2 buses or with 2 planes with essentially 2 separate traveling parties. Have you lost more luggage, or have you forgotten more luggage, or has it gone to the wrong hotel? And how long did that take to completely iron out when you guys went to 2 planes, which is phenomenal to me? That is so big league, but it's also a big league number of people that you're flying around too.
Yeah. So knock on wood, it hasn't happened yet. I mean, you just have to be in front of it and stay organized, Kratz, So, my guess is that it's going to happen at some point, and we just have to read and react,
Because other players sometimes look at Dodger players and they go, oh man, they have all this nice stuff. Other players look at Yankee players and, oh man, the Yankees, all this stuff. Do other directors of travel look at Scott Akasaki and go, man, you get all the nice stuff. This is so cool. You get 2 planes. Or do they look at you and go, I don't know. I work for the Marlins. We don't even have air conditioning on our plane, so I don't have to do nearly as much as you.
I don't know, Kratzy. I think that you'd have to ask them, but I think any person on another team would say, would I rather manage 2 planes or I'd rather manage 1 plane? And I think the answer is pretty clear. One is more simpler than 2.
All right, people look at players and they go, well, how do I become a big league player? How do I become a Major League Baseball player? How do you become a Major League Director of Travel?
I don't think there's a recipe or a way to do it per se. I just think getting into sports, whatever way you could possibly do it, and then just being right place, right time, showing organization, showing the ability to communicate, showing the ability to be able to talk to different people, whether it's people in the front office or players or coaches. And like I said, there's no recipe, but I think hard work, organization, those are sort of the hallmarks of this position, and interpersonal skills, and just being able to do the job on a daily and yearly basis. It's not easy, right?
No doubt. I mean, you're getting after it. And don't forget, people, Scott has a family too. But what I want to ask you, because people forget that stuff. They're like, oh, he's a big leaguer. Well, he's also a human being who has kids, and he's gone. It's not like he puts everybody on the plane and goes, good luck, guys. See you when you get back in LA. But what I want to know is, how nice is that ring? How much did you enjoy? I know you have some National League Championship rings. How nice is that World Series ring?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, Kratzy.
Oh, that's great.
But actually, that was the 2020 ring, which I carry with me. The 2024 ring is locked in a safe in LA. But yeah, it's nice, right? you talk about my family, you talk about, the rings, you talk about the Japan trip. I really have accomplished all that I've wanted to in this game, and I feel really fulfilled from a work aspect. And I wanted to take a minute. There was a time in our nation's history when Japanese Americans weren't treated in the right way, and to be able to be in an era and to serve a team that has Jackie Robinson and Fernando Valenzuela, Sandy Koufax, Shohei Ohtani, Chonho Park, Hideo Nomo, pioneers in this game. And to be able to go to Japan and be involved in that and be in a spot where arguably the best player in the world is of Japanese ancestry, over the course of my career, the course of my life, my own personal history, has been tremendously moving to me, and to the good. And to have my family see that, and to be able to share with my own kids that, at a certain point during World War II, bad stuff happened to Japanese Americans. But now to be able to have my boys in the clubhouse and see role models, people who look like them, for them to understand that they can do whatever it is, they want, whatever, the sky's the limit in terms of what is possible. And I think that's the great thing about this game. That's a great thing about this country. That's a great thing about my job right now, and I really do this job for them. And so it's an important piece of how I stay motivated on a daily basis, because, to be honest, I do miss out on all of those family things that a normal 9 to 5, Monday through Friday father misses.
That's very powerful. And I can tell you, I mean, I was in Japan several months ago, and the connection right now that baseball brings to obviously baseball fans in America and to baseball fans in Japan it's really special. It's incredible, right? Like, I had an extra special time being able to talk about obviously what I do, and everybody being a fan of Shohei and or of Major League Baseball. So my last one for you is, of course, you're on a team that has, like you mentioned, the arguably best player in the sport. You've got Roki
Right.
Sasaki, new to the party, Yamamoto now in his second season. How special is it to have those guys around? And obviously, I know you're not going to speak for them, but is there anything you can give us about either the connection that you have to them, or whether it's their appreciation for being here and being part of the organization? People just want like any info, because, they don't do a ton of interviews, obviously, right? They've got a lot going on. I think more of the interviews, of course, with Japanese media, which I'm sure is a whole nother to do. There's so many of them following the team around, but what can you give us just to give a little intel on how those guys are to work with?
Yeah, obviously there's the language barrier, right? And so being able to speak Japanese to them on a daily basis is a special thing, because I don't have to go through an interpreter. But I can tell you and all the fans about each of those guys. They are so great in terms of people. And I know that's a boring answer, but they are so good to my kids. They're so good to me, and it's genuine. And what you might see on TV or is they are as nice of people as can be. And you know what? That goes for like all the Dodger players, right? So, Kike Hernandez, Teoscar Hernandez, right? Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. These are all great people. Alex Vesia, like Tanner Scott, Evan Phillips. These guys are all superhuman beings. Anthony Bond. I want to name off the whole roster because I don't want anybody to feel left out. But everybody is genuinely nice, so not just like Roki or Yoshinobu or Shohei, but it's everybody on the roster, and everybody in the roster is a human being at the end of the day, right? And so That I think is often lost in wins and losses and world championships and strikeouts is like human beings, right? This game is more about human beings than potentially any other sport. And if there's one thing I could impart upon sort of like the back of the curtain stuff is how these men are gentlemen. They're class acts.
Scott, that's going to make people mad because people want to hate the Dodgers. And now that you said that Dodgers players are really good dudes. Oh, wait a minute. Clubhouse culture matters, Scott? Oh, that's right. It does matter in winning. Oh, thank you.
And it starts at the top, right? It starts with Andrew Friedman, Brandon Gomes, our ownership, Stan Kasten, and then of course, I haven't said his name, but Dave Roberts. Right? Dave Roberts sets the tone for everything. Right. And so without Dave, that clubhouse culture doesn't continue to operate on a daily basis. You can't just throw good players in a room and say win, right? There has to be a glue, and Dave makes that happen.
Scott, I thank you for coming on here because we've been trying to get somebody in your position that it's not heard and seen enough because the glue is throughout the players, coaches, the staff, because it doesn't happen without you guys. So Scott Akasaki, thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much. And I really appreciate the opportunity, Erik. This has been great. So happy to come on anytime in the future if time and schedules allow. Hey, Todd, I want to say something. My dad taught at Rutgers when he first started. Yeah, so 1,000 years ago when my dad first got his PhD in math, he taught at Rutgers. So I know you're a big Rutgers supporter. But,
there's always a Jersey connection, Rutgers connection. Scotty, same thing.
Yeah.
We love RU, baby. I know there's always a connection. We appreciate
Scott
that.
Todd didn't go to class, so don't even. It didn't matter. He doesn't know that there was classes. He played baseball. Okay.
Come on now.
Yeah, he majored in ball. It was fine. It worked out for him.
I majored in communications.
Yeah.
I still got to get my degree, but I'm going to work on it.
He's using it now. There you go. Well, Scott, this was awesome. Just be careful. There is actually something pretty blingish on your hand. On your hand. So just be careful.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really know. I got to go get on a bus soon. Hey man, I wear this to the store, right? And I go to the market. I go to the market and Trader Joe's back home, or I guess now the place to go is Erewhon, right? So yeah, it's something to be proud of.
Yeah, that is special. So thank you so much again, Scott, and enjoy the weekend, and we'll catch up with you again at some point.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Appreciate you. You too. FT fam, we're excited to introduce you to Rowback with the subtle dog logo and those two stripes on the back of every product. Kratz, what are you rocking for us today?
I got the polo, so when I'm out on the course, I stay cool. The sweat's wicking away. You barely even feel like it's on.
Yeah, that is a Rowback polo, classic, solid in stripes. If that's for you, go for it. Print polos are there as well. Use the code FOUL at rowback.com for 20% off your first purchase. That's FOUL on RHOBACK.com. All right, FT fam, we're going to bounce around the league a little bit. So the loss yesterday for the Twins, which included 3 of 4 losing to Cleveland, was the 10th walk-off loss for Minnesota in Cleveland during the last 5 seasons. That's just a crazy trend. I mean, I know you play each other a lot, but the amount of walk-offs that you see between those two, it really gives Cleveland fans something to go home happy with.
Knowing that they're always in the game.
Yeah.
They always have an opportunity.
But the walk-off's the best regular season kind of game you can have with regularity. I get it. Perfect game, no hit or whatever. But walk-offs are awesome, right? Keeps you to the end. You get to go home even happier than just a dub. I mean, would you rather go to a game where it's 8-1 or 4-3 you saw
want
walk off
excitement.
with the kiddo.
You want excitement.
Yeah.
You want excitement. It says Twins have lost 11 straight one-run games in Cleveland. Think about that whole. I don't know if they ever want to go to Cleveland again.
No,
I wouldn't.
And the Twins have a good bullpen, but the Cleveland bullpen, Kratz, is really good, and Clase's getting back on track. Cade Smith's the G.
I just think when you go into a place and you lose that many close games and that many walk-offs, I remember the Astros when I played there for the minute that I played there. We went into Oakland and they're like, golly, it seems like we're always getting walked off here. And I'm like, really? I've never felt that way. That night, walked off. So it's kind of up here, but you just, some teams are just always in it.
Yeah.
It's that deja vu all over again, Yogi.
And Jose Ramirez, he obviously steals a lot of bases, but also the timely stolen bases for him are always there too. So give him credit. He's at 250 homer, 250 stolen base guy now. He's above the mark there. First third baseman
ever.
History.
Incredible.
That's a crazy stat. That's such a crazy record that I had no idea. But this dude's he's got no arms. He can just get to every ball.
Injuries suck. Mike Trout hits the IL. We found out the news officially right after the game last night from Ron Washington, who said the left knee discomfort, is going to put him on the shelf, but didn't say that it was going to be anything major, and they expect him to be back pretty quickly. But remember, last year, 2 meniscus tears in different parts of that left knee led to 2 surgeries. I watched almost that whole game and then the post-game show yesterday and brushed it off pretty quickly. But, of course, we'll see how he reacts to everything. Trout's presence in the lineup's important. I know some people are like, he was 179, 264 on base. Okay, he was still a little above average with the OPS plus. He was barreling baseballs. Some of the expected stats look good. He had 9 home runs. It's the kind of guy where you're like, keep him on the field, let him run for a while. Yeah. And he could put up 40, but this is about the same time last year when he went through the knee troubles. So you do start to get a little scary about this. Not to mention the Angels are in a bad rut again.
Yeah, no, listen. It's scary anytime you talk about a knee with him. You saw he's trying to beat out, an infield single there. He's struggling a little bit, hyperextended both knees, but I think he's going to be fine. I think it's more of a scare than anything, and just to put him on the IL for a little bit, I think understandably, 10 days, retroactive, get him going, and, I think he'll be all right. It's one of those things where, again, better safe than sorry here at the end of the day. We don't know how it's going to be.
Got to put him on the IL. Can't get him off his feet because they already have a DH. They can't let him not play in the outfield for 7 to 10 days. So they kind of put him in this spot. Maybe I'm hoping it's not as bad as, that he needs that whole stay on the IL. But you know what? They couldn't give him 2 days off and then give him like 3 straight DHs. He's got to go out there and stand on his feet every single day. And it's just like, maybe we shouldn't have gotten Soler. But, hey, you know what? Soler hit a dinger last night. So I guess, who am I?
Yeah, Soler's played well and helped them out. I think he's homered in back-to-back games now. I wasn't against the player. But in the offseason, I was just like, you got to leave that spot open. And I know the case was made that they felt as if Trouty was going to take a billion swings if he was just DH. But I'm like, in this case, if he's dealing with the knee, I don't think he would have done that. This is a smart guy. You know him. I don't think they said this. This was on the record. They were worried he's going to take 500 swings if he's DHing, in a day. I'm like, come on, he's not 20. He knows what he's doing.
No, and I think he's smarter. And as he's getting older, he understands his body and what he can and cannot do. I don't know his full routine, but I know it's not the same as when it was, 7-8 years ago when he's just coming up. But he gets it. It's more kind of, let me maintain my body. I got to make sure my joints, my knee, my meniscus, all that stuff is right. Then you could work a little bit upper body and keep staying bigger and stronger. But he's still a strong young man, and he's still going to go out there and produce. It's just, it's one of those things that people think about. Why isn't he the Mike Trout old? Why isn't he coming back and getting after it? he's getting older, man. People understand that. He's getting older and he's had some injuries. So he kind of got to ease into it before, you start pedaling away. So, again, Angels fans, pump the brakes a little bit. I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah, Angels fans don't want to pump the brakes about the team. That's the problem right now, is the team was off to a nice start the first few weeks, and then it's starting to unravel here. I wanted to just focus on that game for a couple minutes because I spent a good time watching it yesterday. I've been pretty high on the Tigers from the offseason up through now. Mize looked good. I know, he gave up 4 runs, but he gave him 7 innings to rest the bullpen a little bit. A solid performance. Kikuchi was pretty good on the other side. Tommy Canley, by the way, brilliant pickup, has been dominant, filthy, sub-1 ERA so far. Angels fans were losing their mind, though. In the 8th inning, they're up 4-2, and the offense had been not great lately. There's a lot of swing and miss in that lineup. Reed Detmers comes in for a second consecutive game after giving up, I think it was 4 runs the night before, gives up another 4 spot, including a Dingler 3-run home run. Reed Detmers was a starter his whole life.
Yeah.
And now he's working on the bullpen side of things. And after a clunker, you're giving him a back-to-back high leverage. I'm like, man, I need to know more about why that was the decision there. And I think everyone was looking for that. Ron Washington was asked about it, didn't give much, just thought it was the right spot with some lefties that he didn't get out. And then it all fell apart from there. But man, and Joe Adele had some issues in center field during that inning. It just all fell apart, and it was one of those games where Angels fans were losing their mind. I do want to keep everyone focused also on the fact that the Tigers might be the best team in the American League. So they're going to capitalize on mistakes right now, too. Javi Baez hit another homer. He robbed Soler of a homer and looked pretty good in center field. I know we talked about this team a good amount at the top of yesterday's show, but it's just bad timing. It's it's not their worst, it's one of their worst losses of the season. And then right after the game, it was casual. They're like, "How's Trout?" And he's like, "Yeah, IL."
Yeah, I gotta go, but IL.
yeah. You know how it is when the managers are like, "Yeah, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but IL."
IL,
like,
what else? Yeah, it stinks.
Yeah.
It stinks. And as a manager, you want to go with your gut and make certain decisions and see how a professional pitcher is going to do in back-to-back games and see if it's pressure, how he's feeling. I know it's a new guy. He knows how to pitch. You're a major league pitcher, so you should be able to figure it out. I'm not saying you're going to do well, but you should be able to find the zone and throw strikes and not give up that many runs. But it's easier said than done. But again, as a manager, you stick to it, what you feel, and you talk to your coaching staff. And can this guy go again? Yeah, sure. Okay, let's talk to him. Boom. And they put him in. It just didn't work out.
Yeah, I didn't like it, Kratz. And I mean, you got to keep evaluating what you're doing from a pitching perspective when, someone like Griffin Canning's there for a while and now he looks like a freaking stud. He looks like a number 2 starter on the Mets right now.
Yeah, well, you clearly blew that one. There's a few that they've blown, but let's go back to the Angels travel day that the organization decided to have. They're 2-8 in their last 10. They've lost 6 straight. The Angels have. Like you kind of put your team in this situation. It didn't say they caused the bone bruise in his knee that Trout has, but Zach Kozar came out and said it. That causes injuries. It makes it difficult. That is tough to come back from. Like dudes just don't rebound. We had a tough day. We had a tough 2 days. Like, I'm fine. Like, it kind of compounds, and you have to have all your ducks in a row as a team so that the players can be in the best position to win. And I don't think that set them up very well. And obviously, they're 2-8 in their last 10.
Yeah, this team has to win at the margins. They did some nice things in the offseason. I really like the Kenley Jansen pickup, but you're right. I mean, we harped on this. Sometimes we do too much on a certain story. I don't think we did on this one. You're right. They haven't won a game since. It's been a week. So anyway, we'll keep you posted on what's going on with Trout. We'll swing back on FT, and we're going to play a little fact or fiction and swing around the league, talk about some good parts of what we're seeing in the first 6 weeks here. Best pitcher, comeback player, stuff like that. Leo, Leo plays a mean sax. BetMGM locks coming soon. Free game of the day tonight, streaming on the BetMGM app, is Giants hosting the Rockies. Rockies have actually won back-to-back games for the first time this season. They won yesterday. Yeah, look out. I mean, more for Giants fans. Get it together, right? If you're a Giants fan, you're like, yo, we got to get back on the board.
This is embarrassing.
Okay? Yes.
Yeah, no, real.
Live streaming available to all BetMGM customers who are logged in and have funded accounts, so go check out that game. As far as yesterday, Kratz, Boston fell. Actually, another nice start from a starting pitcher was blown there in yesterday's game. Houck was dealing too, and Houck had been struggling a little bit. He just really has trouble getting lefties out. Righties he dominates, and he kind of figured it out because teams are stacking against him, and he figured out the right mix. But then still, they couldn't keep it together. So Blue Jays take it. I don't even want to talk about Krasinski right now. Actually, I would love to, since he's not on today. He's allergic.
What is going
Dubs right
on
now.
With it? It's always this bad. It's incredible.
AJ, call Todd, really, because he's up.
Listen, and I haven't done many of them, but the ones I do, I'm knocking on the door of almost Hall of Fame status here of money making.
All right, what do you got for us? You do one. We'll do the other ones later.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. This is a simple one. I love Tarek Skubal. Absolutely love this guy. Trouty's out. Angels look good, and then they didn't show up. I'm going with Detroit -1.5, and it's not a plus. It's simple, -110. And I honestly think they're going to win by, 3 or 4. So I'm going to go 440 to win 400 right here. Detroit Tigers winning by 2 or more.
I like it. It's one you got to think about talent.
And then.
Oh, you got something else? You got your home run?
Yeah, my home run lock. I'm going to stick to that game. Spencer Torkelson. Time to show me again why you're a beast. +600. He's going yaya off Soriano.
Boom. There you go. Torque homer yesterday, late. Little oppo.
Here comes another one.
Yeah, I think he's got 9 now.
And another one.
We're going to talk about him soon, later in the show as well. Hey, for you poker players out there, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and New Jersey all are in on the same action now, which is great. So you can compete with players on BetMGM Poker Online on the app, and players in those states can play their way into the BetMGM Poker Championship at Aria. Check out all the details online to see how you can get a chance to pull that off if you win one of those select tournaments. Go check it out right now. All right, Arena Club's going to help us out with a little fact or fiction. We're going to do 5. Shout out to some of the publications that have been putting out storylines from early in the season, including ESPN, The Athletic, CBS. So we took a few from all of these. We'll put some that are easy, some that maybe have a little more explanation to them. Let's start simple here. Fact or fiction, the National League West is the best division in baseball, Toddfather.
I would say right now that's a fact.
Okay.
I mean, you think about it, Dodgers, you think about the Padres. I mean, the Padres, to me, I think they're one of the top 3 in baseball right now, if you want the truth. This team is absolutely beast mode right now. They're slugging, they're pitching well, and I think it starts with good old Manny Machado, man. This guy's absolute beast. You got Fernando Tatis, we all know about. But who's leading that clubhouse? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I forget who we talked to on the show, but we were asking about who's the leader in the clubhouse for San Diego. He goes, well, first starts off with Manny Machado.
Oh, Kevin AC?
Yes,
yeah.
Excuse me. And they are absolute studs. The Giants, I know they're on the little skid right now, and forget about the Rockies, but yeah, I think this is the best division in baseball.
Kratz, yeah.
Fact. Even the struggling team, the Diamondbacks, they're going to be back. Yep. I don't think it's close.
Okay. Well, let's do a couple New York themed questions here. We'll go from West Coast to East Coast. Juan Soto misses Aaron Judge in the lineup. Fact or fiction, Kratz? Soto just put together his first multi-homer game yesterday. It was a loss for the Mets, but the Mets are surging in first place in the National League East right now. Obviously, some of the shock jocks in New York who don't watch much ball or just are desperate for attention are like, oh, this guy stinks. But he's still doing, what he does from a process perspective Also, not to mention, Citi Field's no Yankee Stadium. Did you see where both homers went? Same exact spot, left center field, 370. Oh, he's one of the only guys that can play the power to the park. And I'm watching him yesterday, and I'm like, uh-oh. He's starting to figure this place out.
He hit one changeup over there, and he hit one, or a backdoor cutter over there. It was like 89, and he went one heater later in the game over there. It was a concerted effort to drive the ball to left center. This guy makes adjustments, and people are going to say, oh, he stinks. It's like, okay, well, what's going to happen? His batting average is going to go up. His on-base percentage is already, like, he's striking out almost as much as he's walking. Like, he's already up there. Now the power is going to come. He doesn't miss Aaron Judge. I'm sorry. Like, he did say it is different. He didn't say everybody else in my lineup around me stinks. He just said it's different. Aaron Judge is on pace to break the WAR, the highest WAR ever in a season that Babe Ruth put up. So, yes, nobody in the lineup is like Aaron Judge, but Juan Soto will be fine. Juan Soto's going to do Juan Soto things at the end of the year. It's all going to come out in the wash.
It's just a fact of fiction, and he went on a little tangent. I'm going to say this is a fact that he does miss Aaron Judge. And I'm saying this for the sole reason. I played with both guys. I played with Pete Alonso. I played with Aaron Judge. This is no knock to Pete Alonso, but nobody out there is Aaron Judge right now. This guy is an absolute monster. He plays the game well. He's going to take his walks. He's going to get on base. Juan Soto had an opportunity to play with the most feared guy in baseball. I mean, Shohei Ohtani's probably up there, or definitely up there, excuse me. But this is the most feared guy in baseball, in my opinion. And Juan Soto was right there with him. So no knock to Pete. I love Pete. But right now, anybody would say that it's a fact that he misses Aaron Judge. I don't care who you are.
You're saying anybody that basically, hits in front of him is going to miss
100%
him when they're gone.
I don't care how good they're doing.
Okay.
That's all.
Next up, I want to talk Zach Gallen for a moment because he's having a sneaky nice season. He's going to have free agency, and he just is insane. He becomes a strikeout machine, too, when he's pitching in New York. So he owns the Mets and the Yankees.
Yes.
So his 2 starts at Yankee Stadium and Citi Field this season, 12 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 21 strikeouts. And he's a New Jersey native.
And
so
a free agent.
Fact or fiction, Zach Gallen needs to very seriously consider signing with the Mets or the Yankees.
He will.
In free agency.
This is a fact.
I went to you first because
no,
the hometown bias.
No, it's going to be real simple for me. It's a definite fact. He loves playing at home. Some guys don't like playing at home. Some guys don't like doing it. They get nervous. They got people around. They're like, I got to show up and do this. But this guy is freaking stud in New York. If I'm the offseason, or if I'm the offseason, hey, Mr. Offseason, if I'm New York Mets or Yankees in the offseason, once that 5 days pass after the World Series, guess what I'm doing? I'm not even calling. I'm knocking on the door. Like, hey, dog, I'm only an hour and a half away. You in Jersey for the offseason? I got paper right here. Talk to me. Let's do this. Yes, this is a fact.
Zach Gallen's a guy that he came on here and he's like, I know exactly what teams passed me up. I'm keeping receipts. He knows what teams have money. So let's just wait. Let's wait until he faces the Red Sox. He knows they got some cash. Wait till he faces the Cubs. Knows they got cash. He's like, hey, this is a tryout. This is a full season tryout. I get it. But New York, the Mets and the Yankees, they got some cash. So you know what? I'm going to show out a little bit more so that they see it front and center who they need next year.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to make sure I correct myself because I'm like, oh, he's having a good year. I mean, technically ERA standards, actually not 4.93 and 38 1/3, but dominating in those big ones in New York. And let's finish with this. Fact or fiction, Kratz, Hunter Green is the best pitcher in the National League.
I'm going to forget somebody. Hunter Green is the... I'm going to go fact because I'm forgetting somebody.
Agreed.
What the adjustments he's made, have been incredible. He was just a thrower.
he threw the absolute snot out of the ball. He threw the snot out of his slider. He threw it out of his fastball. He's always sits 99 to 101. Now he's starting to command that. He's starting to work that ball down and away to righties. And his strikeouts are going up. He's not decreasing his strikeouts to be able to get deeper into the game. And I think the pickup of Brady Singer is only going to help him see guys that, you know what? This dude goes out and makes 32 starts. I did this last year, but he gets a lot of innings. I want to do that. And I think it's going to help push him in that aspect of his pitching development, which he is still developing. This is a young dude.
Yeah, I would say yes too. But there's some guys right behind him, no, of course. But he came out of the gates hot, and he's right here. You know what I mean? There hasn't been that much of a letdown, if any, and he's a stud right now. He's on pace. We talk about Cy Young. He's right there. I know it's early. Hate to say it. People are like, "Why are you doing that?" But this dude is on pace. We talked about him last year, almost on pace to get close to it. So I do. I like it.
Yeah, and Kratz, Yamamoto has a 1.0 CRA. So you think Wheeler?
I think Zach Wheeler ends up eclipsing Hunter Green and Yamamoto for the Cy Young this year. And don't forget about, I think people would take Paul Skeens over him, even though Paul Skeens is 3-4 this year. He was mortal last night. I think Zach Wheeler is the top of the class, but you're still talking about a dude that's 25, 26 and a dude that's in his 30s. So I think Zach Wheeler's still the top of the class in the NL, and I just couldn't think of who else was out there when you dropped the line on me.
And just keep in mind, if you're watching this later and you're just looking straight ERAs, we're talking a little bit beyond that. Plus, Hunter Green pitches in Cincinnati. That is not fun. And Cincinnati should not be treated the same as almost any other park, in the National League. Colorado, a different world.
Philly?
Yeah, Philly ain't easy, but Cincinnati, I think, is tougher. No? For pitching?
No,
it is.
I think they're both nice parks to hit in.
There you go. Exactly. Hey, while we were talking about this, we saw a bunch of cards. If you like what you were looking at, you can get some of these via slab packs on Arena Club. You can also buy, sell, trade, get cards graded, the whole deal. Slab packs are open right now, so go check them out. And you can use a little code for the collectors out there, FOUL, for 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase at arenaclub.com/foul. FT fam, we'll be right back with our special guest today, Hunter Brown, on the show from the Astros, coming up. Hey, Andrew Chafin in agreement with the Nationals on a major league contract. So the Nationals need some bullpen help. I've watched some Nats games where that bullpen just falls apart.
It's tough.
Yeah.
12th season coming into. Wow.
Chafin's hilarious too.
Just a nice push shooting lefty. Here he is. Go get it.
Yeah. Late career guy. almost 35 years old now. But this would keep it rolling for him as he's going to find a home here. Kratz, the Nationals obviously aren't serious about this year. They didn't really do anything in the offseason. They've got some nice pieces, but it does get demoralizing when the bullpen gets beat up.
And the Nats pick up Andrew Chafin and Kyle Finnegan, like two guys that, why didn't they have jobs? Like, what am I missing? What am I missing that you don't, like, I guess at some point, he's going to come on here, but we got to ask, like, were you asking too much? Kyle Finnegan obviously wasn't asking too much. So the Nats needed this. The Nats need to lengthen their pen. I know Finnegan lost it the other night against the Phillies, but I think you can't just have this two-headed monster at the end of your game. And I think he's a nice piece. He's not a driving the Nats to first place team type of piece, but I'm just confused why he didn't have a job before this.
He did. It was just in the minor leagues, right? So he was in AAA with the Tigers. He had signed a minor league contract with them. got a 2.13 ERA in 13 appearances, 12 and 2/3 innings for Toledo. So it's like, okay, time for a major league deal. And had a 3.5 last year. So I agree with you. I mean, sometimes you look at certain players and you're like, man, this guy's pitching pretty well in the playoffs for a team, and then all of a sudden he can't find a job the next year.
Yeah.
I don't know, everything about the evaluation process, but we'll see how he does. Hey, Phil Maton looks pretty damn good for the Cardinals. Took him a minute.
I mentioned two. Phil Maton's on there. There's no way Kirby Yates should have waited as long as he did. Like, oh, the Dodgers, they get everybody. They're all available.
Yeah, there's just a standoff that occurs. It seems to be a thing lately with relievers, and then every team needs relievers at the deadline, second half, playoffs, etc. So whatever. The smart teams know what they're doing. You load up so that you don't have to unload all the prospects at the trade deadline to get it done. Hey, we've got Astros starter Hunter Brown joining us right now on Foul Territory. Hunter, great to have you on the show, man. How you doing? How's the season going?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it and excited to be on here today.
Yeah, us too. I want to just, make sure our fans are enlightened on your story from a pitcher perspective over the past year or so. We've had Bregman on this show before, and he's kind of, laughed about it and says, hey, I'm not the one pitching. But can you just take us back to a combo that you've had a million times with the local media, but, combos like the one you had with Alex Bregman that actually really goes into, your evolution into who you are right now?
Yeah, so I came up from AAA, and I just kind of was a ride for guy with the curveball, and then a few short months after that, everybody seemed to figure that out, and I was quite frankly just getting smacked around the yard a little bit. So went around the clubhouse, talked to some guys, see what they thought if they had to hit against me. Talked to Bregman, Mauricio Dubon, Altuve, Pena, Jordan. So a bunch of really, really good players. And, they kind of said it would probably be easy to sit hard away off me. It was a four-seam with a little cutter, slider, and curveball. So, they kind of thought it'd be a good idea to start throwing a two-seam or sinker. And then, I just kind of went back to the one that I threw in college and just kind of started rolling from there. I didn't really have, at the time, I didn't really have much of a choice. So, went with it, and they just kind of opened up some things. And, Breggy was very instrumental in that, as well as all the other guys too.
I want to hit what you said when you first came on the show after I asked this. When they told you that, when those guys told you about the two-seamer, were you like, you're right, no way? Did you believe them right at the beginning, or were you that in a dark place where you were like, man, the ball, my neck is sore, they're hitting it so hard?
Yeah, that's basically what it was. I was kind of, I was looking up at the board. I'd give up a run over an inning, and my ERA would go down. So that's not really a good place to be. So, like I said, I was open ears and willing to kind of jump ship and give it a whirl.
All right, now Scott asked you right when we came on. Scott Braun's the one with the biceps. He asked you. He goes, "How you doing?" And you go, "Yeah, I'm good, bro. You're freaking dealing." Does it take a little bit as a young pitcher with confidence, because we see the confidence when you're on the mound, to just have that stoic, yeah, I'm good? Because I remember Cliff Lee, when I caught Cliff Lee and he was dominating, when somebody would ask him how he's doing, he'd be like, bro, I'm dominating the National League right now. Do you feel that? Do you feel like you have to maybe hold it back a little bit because that's the mantra of baseball players, or is it because the game can humble you a little bit and you have to stay even keel?
Yeah, I would say probably the latter. I feel like I've been on the opposite end of it. I don't want to go back there, and I'm just honestly just working hard, and the results are great, but I'm really happy with the process that I've taken over the last couple seasons, really.
I want to dive in a little bit about being flexible. I mean, you talk about living or staying in Detroit in the off season, working with your buddy here, Joe Neal, your trainer. talk about, because I talk about this a lot with young kids too as well. You have to be flexible, be limber to be able to do a lot of things. And you talk about throwing harder now with more flexibility. Can you dive into that in your program and how you get that flexibility going?
Yeah, we really this past off season more so than prior. We kind of took full Wednesdays and the weekend to really just focus on flexibility, right? And I think over the course of the season, you guys know, things tighten up. You get the workload increases, things like that. So being able to get into maybe some funky positions and maintaining flexibility in that, just can only help you. So we focused on that. Joe's been great. I've been working with him since I got drafted. So it's been a long time coming of 7 years with him. So but this last offseason, we really took note of that and put it into effect.
So we get a lot of notes from college kids, college coaches that'll especially dial in on our interviews, right? So we get, 10, 15 minutes with a guy. Your story's awesome. So I'll let you tell most of it. I'll just tee you up on one or two parts of it. What kind of offers did you get in high school? What were you throwing, right? For someone to look at where you are now and where they are, this gives a lot of hope, but I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so I was, a whopping 86, 87, touching 88 as my junior year of high school summer, going into my senior year. I loved catching. I could hit Michigan high school baseball pitching pretty well, which, as you guys know, is nothing like Texas or Florida. So I had an offer to go to Eastern Michigan to basically be a bullpen catcher, hopefully work my way in, throw some bullpens off the mound. And then, Wayne State was really the only true scholarship I got. They thought I was way better suited for the mound than behind the plate, which they were absolutely right. They gave me a chance right when I showed up to hit, and it did not go well. So I jumped into that ship. But I just wasn't the highly scouted prospect guy. I had some good stuff, but really everything just kind of turned once I got to college and started, working out and just really just getting better.
Do you miss hitting? Even though it didn't go well, you said it didn't go well.
No, I don't at all. I mean, you guys, I watch Pitching Ninja, everything. I get to see front row seats all the time. I want no part of that at all.
Why? Wait. Why? Like, this is like, it's essentially like Michigan high school baseball. Like, the strike zone is still the same.
Yeah, I mean, I used to make my living as a hitter off seeing the guys pre-grip a curveball or a fastball behind their back, than trying to see 95 come in and make an adjustment on an off-speed pitch. So it's a little bit different.
All right. So does that mean baseball is unique than other sports? Because you don't see dudes that can barely throw the football as a quarterback, but they run the option really well in high school and go on to be an NFL quarterback. You don't see that in the NBA. You don't see that in other sports. Is that a unique and awesome part that in my opinion, common people that play the game or love the game can connect with the big league baseball more than they can other sports?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think it's just a completely different game where you can really master your craft and change some things along the way. I think in baseball in particular, the difference in skill level across the way, if you took a pool of 16-year-old kids here and 16-year-old kids there, it's going to be a lot different. So, I think just in my career, playing college summer ball was awesome for me. I got around a bunch of D1 guys and people that quite frankly just knew a lot more about the game than I did, and was able to, maybe steal a few things from them and add it to my game. But, like you said, it's just that's how baseball is. There's so many intricacies of the game that it's not like you're the 6'5", 250 guy that's a 5-star recruit. You can definitely hone your craft and make an adjustment along the way.
Can baseball coaches teach command of the strike zone? Because the first thing you said was I threw 86, 88, maybe 89, so I wasn't recruited. But everybody goes and throws a heavy ball, throws a weighted McDonald's bouncy house balls, all the 3-5 colors. They throw it against the wall. They can teach that. Can baseball coaches teach command?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can point you in the right direction, right, in your mechanics and things like that. But I think at the end of the day, it's all feel. You know, if you don't have the feel for your stuff, you're probably gonna struggle. You know, I watch some videos sometimes on Instagram or whatever, and you know, you see these guys, they throw a 20-inch sweeper, but it's off the side of the cage, and then they're like, oh, what a nasty pitch. It's like, well, wait a second, nobody's ever going to swing at that. So, you know, you got to get your own feel in your own mechanics and delivery, and you know, they can, like I said, they can point you in the right direction, but at the end of the day, it's kind of how are you going to make it happen?
All right, this is a multifaceted question. When did you find out that the umpire's zones that they're graded on have shrunk? And am I the first one to tell you about it?
No, you're not the first one. You're not the first one at all. But I kind of noticed in spring training, you know, I feel like I'm pretty aware of the top rail of the strike zone, you know, especially with fastballs. And it was this kind of spring training where, man, I know the feeling. I know what it feels like coming out, and I'm just kind of waiting, looking, and they don't say anything. I'm like, man, that feels pretty good. Go back, look at the zone. I'm like, that's kind of exactly where I wanted it to be, and you know, it just wasn't. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely feels a little tighter, but I guess that's just the way it is.
Did you guys get notified about it?
No, I did not get like a a Miranda, you know?
Yeah,
like
memo or any of that. Yeah.
Yeah, memo.
You guys just kind of figured it out, right? Like, did you talk to an ump and say, hey, are you guys getting graded different, or the combos don't really happen like that?
No, I mean, I hear more from the hitters. They, you know, whether they get rung up on something the night before and they come back and they say, oh, so-and-so said that was a strike on their grading system, or vice versa. Hey, that wasn't there. So, I mean, we kind of hear more through the grapevine than directly.
All
Okay.
right.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Scott. Okay, the last one for me. What does Hunter Brown do when he's off the field? I get it. You throw 99. Now you're throwing a sinker. You got like a nothing ERA. What do you go to post game? What's the thing on an off day that Hunter Brown's like, yeah, I'm all about that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I like walking. I like going for walks in the cities. You know, I think it was probably my rookie year where, you know, you go from AAA where you're flying, you know, once a week, you're there for 6 days. You can kind of, you know, settle into the city that you're in, versus in the big leagues, you know, you're flying a different place every 3 days. So it was something that helped, you know, keep me grounded and see where I'm at. And then also, you know, I just enjoyed it, taking in the different cities, you know, throw my headphones in, maybe listen to a podcast or whatever, and just kind of walk around and enjoy the city.
I love that. All right, last one on my side, because this is a big story coming up this weekend. It's been a long time coming. We've known him for years. I've covered him since he entered the league. Lance McCullers scheduled to pitch on Sunday. How excited are you? I'm sure you've, you know, spent a lot of time with him over the last few years, and any insight that you can give us on being around him or talking to him, or even seeing other teammates like, say, Jose Altuve react to the fact that this guy's been such a big part of the history for the past 10 years, and he could be back and slinging it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's Lance McCullers Jr. He's awesome. He's done some really special things. He's a great leader, great teammate, and you know, he's just been grinding the last couple of years. I know that just can't be easy, so I'm really happy for him. Excited for him to get out here, and you know, just gonna soak it in. And I'm sure he's kind of feeling those nerves again. Maybe not quite like his debut, but it's been a little bit. So I'm sure he's thinking about that and just excited to get out here and show everybody, you know, that he's back and he's able to throw.
Yeah, we're pumped to see it. Hunter, great to have you on here, man. Thanks for the time. Appreciate you sharing the story, too. And good luck the rest of the way, man. We'll catch up with you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Hunter Brown with us from the Houston Astros. Be right back.
My people of FT Nation, gamblers of FT, it's Parlay Pap coming to you. on a Friday. We're going to get that weekend cheese with this bet. Here we go. Lock it in. It's pretty simple. Giants and Astros, they're playing the White Sox and the Rockies. We're going to parlay them together. It's going to be at -106. And we're going to put 300 on it. And we're going to get some of that weekend cheese to blow. Let's get it.
Let's go. Let's go. Parlay Pap. All right, Kratz, you get to follow that.
Okay. I feel like I just have to speak like very monotone after I follow Pat. But anyway, I'm going the under 9.5 in the Royals game. They're facing the O's. Neither team's really scoring very much, and I'm going under 8.5 in the Guardians and Blue Jays game. Again, tough time coming by runs. I got to parlay it together, coming out at plus 257, I think. Something like that. And my home run pick, Seiya Suzuki. Seiya, you're going to get a homer.
He did yesterday. Yeah, because he's got those Paul Skeens muscles now where he homered off Skeens. Skeens gave up 3 homers first time in his career. He had given up 1 the whole season.
Yes.
Gave up 3 yesterday. A good Cubs team.
It's a good one, Kratzy. I enjoyed that.
There you go. Okay, I'll finish here. I got Kansas City with what is considered an upset, plus 120 money line over the Orioles. It's Michael Wacha coming off a great outing against Houston over Dean Kramer, who's really struggled this season. So I got the Royals winning 9 of their last 10, riding high, taking down an Orioles team that I think they play well against. So it's plus 120 on the BetMGM app right now. So I'll throw down 200 to win 240. Okay. And make sure you get yourself a little MLB home run boost. You can help, obviously, boost your home run pick, just like Toddfather and Kratz with their picks today. There it is. Activate that token when you bet on any player to hit a home run in any MLB game that you find there in the app. If that player goes deep, you receive a bigger payout. Got to activate that boost. Get after it, FT fam. Good luck to everyone on their picks tonight and this weekend. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Oh, we got a fun one. A few minutes for the ump show coming up. Learning some new words from Keith Hernandez.
Right.
The ump show is back. So our friends at Awful Announcing pointed out this little back and forth with Mets broadcasters Gary Cohen and Keith Hernandez. They said they were apoplectic, keyword of the day, over home plate umpire John Bacon and CB Buckner's crew. Gary said, I mean, come on. What's going on, Keith? Keith goes, these 2 series in a row, just El Stinko. They did not like what they were seeing behind the plate. No. Maybe they didn't get the memo either about the whole strike zone evaluation.
This is the one that's bad. This is a foul. It was a foul ball. How John Bacon how we can't replay this. It's easy. Let's just go get the replay. How John Bacon doesn't hear that? I have no idea. But we went from apoplectic to El Stinko from the same crew. Good vernacular.
Incredible.
That is good. But also really bad that happens in a big league game. Yeah. You know how sometimes the replays on the tip, it's like you got to see it a couple times? That one's just a clunk off the bat.
That was tough. That was.
Kerry Carpenter got hit by a pitch the other day. You saw his shoelace. It was in the first inning. You saw his shoelace sling up, and the Tigers didn't use their replay because they ran out of time. It didn't happen fast enough for them. Next pitch, dinger. So that was a good use of no challenge.
Yes, sir.
There you go. All right, and then let's take a break so we have a little more time for slap hands, actually. But that's your ump show. We'll always take submissions too. I know some of you tag me in the mentions on Twitter. They'll just go like ump show at foul territory, whatever. We're here for you. Okay. We'll step aside here. We'll be right back for a little longer slap hands. We got a few things to take care of. Hey, let's shout out Homage. We got some Homage shirts today. So this is part of the AL History logo collection. I just opened up my package, so I got the swinging A's. Here we go.
Always
I'll
got to
give it
stand
you.
up.
Yeah,
Say it with your chest. Oh, that's cool.
that's nice, right?
Like it.
By the way, shout out to the swinging A's who just won a nice little series against the Texas Rangers. They got
Yes.
blown out in that one game, but they won the rest, including yesterday. Jeffrey Springs against Tyler Mahle was pretty good for 6 innings,
Yes,
but
it was.
the A's attacked late. They pull off the dub. A's are a top 4, I think, record right now in the American League, so good for them. But anyway, I got this. Kratz has his road to the show. Looking good. Very nice.
When Scott stood up there, I thought of your Bruce Buffer, like the Bruce Buffer zone name association. We can associate the old Braun belly. When you're feeling a little down, when you're feeling like your tummy hurts a little bit, you get that Braun belly. Ooh, I got that Braun belly. Nasty.
Yeah.
We're gonna let that one.
I don't know. That doesn't really hit, but I
Nope.
feel like that's too inside.
He's trying.
Yeah.
He's reaching.
Right. We'll let him have
Is
it.
it too
yeah.
much? Does it reach?
Just a bit, but I like where your mind is, though. Your thoughts there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I took a kicker in the second round. Sorry, it's a reach.
Homage.com/foul territory. Code foul territory for first time shoppers gets you 20% off that first order. When we come back, we got some IL stints to hit for the Yankees. So we'll do that coming up next as part of Slap Hands, and also a very special happy birthday to one of the best members of the baseball family. That's also coming up. So give us like 30 seconds and we'll swing back and give you Slap. Let's slap. We got some news right before the show started. Jazz Chisholm hits the injured list for the Yanks 3 days after the swing that left him with what is now being called a right oblique strain. So that'll land you on the injured list for a little bit of time.
That's tough. I don't care what it's not going to be 10 days. I've had too many of those. Even if it's a grade 1, even if it's a strain, it takes weeks to figure that out. They don't want you doing much. You're not training anything. You need to just rest and let that thing heal on its own. I don't know the severity of what he's going through, but any part of that oblique, you cannot do anything on it. And I'm hoping it's a grade 1, takes, hopefully a month, if not a little more. The obliques are just a pain in the rear end.
Yeah. He's got 7 homers, so he's off to a nice power start. Defense has looked pretty good. I know he had the one, where he didn't go to second the other day. Okay, mental gap, but he's handling second, I think, pretty well. Eye test metrics.
Agreed.
He's not getting on base. 181 batting average, 304 on base percentage. It's never been his thing, to be fair. Like, that's right around the career norm.
Yep,
I think some fans just expected him to elevate, in that lineup. And I mean, this guy's been in the league for 6 years. He is what he is. He's a low on base.
Going like that.
He's got pop. He's got speed.
Yeah.
He's got defense if he's in the right position. Kratz, that's the player.
The question is, did he make an adjustment to get on base more in relative to his batting average? He switched to the torpedo bat. It started out awesome all year. It's kind of going back to the norm. The thing is, his walk rate has gone up exponentially. I mean, his on-base percentage is quite the same, and he's like 50 points below his career average. His batting average will go up. I'm just afraid he needs to swing more to be able to get on base more. So it's that dichotomy. And I saw the swing where he did his oblique and he did that like Todd, like you're like scratching your rib, like maybe I can work this out. Next pitch, double down the line. And I hadn't heard anything from him until here this morning or this afternoon, right before the show started, that he was going on the IL.
Yeah, it's not fun. He's been swinging at a lot of pitches this year, and from what I've been seeing, a lot of balls, I should say. Like he's attacking, and sometimes he doesn't get that front foot down early enough and see it. But when he does hit, he finds his way to get on. But it's just few and far between right now.
Mm-hmm. And then we also found out Giancarlo Stanton moved to the 6-day IL. I mean, more procedural. I don't think anyone expected him back yet. No. We just don't really have a timetable. That's the big thing still for his return. And I mean, he is, I say this a lot, becoming a potential Robert Horry of our sport. Just get in the playoffs, get this guy on the field maybe a few weeks before to get the swing in line, and then let him absolutely torch top-end pitching in October.
Let him go.
He was stupid good last year in October.
He was really good.
Oh, my gosh. So fun to watch.
In 2020, he was ridiculous. Also, went into Cleveland, was hitting 2 irons out to right center. Went to San Diego. He was hitting balls off the scoreboard in left center. Like this, he is. It's okay to be a playoff guy. It's also, I feel like it's more optimistic that he will be back sooner than later this year. This is more procedural thing because, we're halfway through a 60-day IL stint so far in this season. So another month isn't that big a deal.
Agreed. And hey, great way to finish the show on a Friday. Sarah Langs is one of the best parts of our game. Baseball is the best. Her phrase, It is her birthday. Nice little tweet there from Mike Petriello. Happy birthday, Sarah. We love you. You're awesome. And Kratz hat's on the way out. You can do it in like 15 seconds.
Oh, that was definitely into that.
Yeah.
For Hunter Brown. How could we not?
Downtown Hunter Brown? Come on.
Downtown Hunter.
I didn't know he was one of my brethren. I didn't know he was a backup catcher in college.
Brethren, I like it.
Yeah, Kratz. You probably threw 80-something. You could have just figured it out. And Hunter Brown. Yeah, exactly. He's a great story. Hunter Brown is awesome to watch. Thanks to him for joining us, and great way to finish the show on a Friday. See you Monday, fam.